Hello G.I. Joe and 1/18 scale collectors, this is the Human Mechanism. Let me ask you a question. Has there been a more influential G.I. Joe scale vehicle in the last decade than the AB-115 Shark? I genuinely don't think so. When the True Heroes AB-115 hit store shelves in 2011, G.I. Joe fans went crazy, giving Hasbro a serious run for its money, and putting Chat May on the radars of many 1/18 scale action figure collectors. Since it was released, it seems the Shark has been adopted as an unofficial G.I. Joe vehicle, not only on an individual basis, but by the entire G.I. Joe community. Almost every dedicated G.I. Joe fan I know has an AB-115, and even though Chat May has since released similar scaled vehicles, I feel the AB-115 will always be their flagship. The popularity of the AB-115 is quite fitting considering the aircraft it's based on, the AC-130 Spectre, the attack variant of the C-130 cargo plane. The C-130 is one of the most popular aircraft in the world and is noted for being extremely reliable. It's no wonder that even after 60 years of service, it's still in production. With that in mind, the C-130 getting a proper G.I. Joe scale representation was inevitable. So, let's talk about the True Heroes AB-115 Shark. I tried to piece the set together the best I could, but some parts are lost to antiquity. When you get something this impressive, the included smaller bits really don't matter as much. As you can see, I'm not the biggest fan of sticker application. In fact, many of the stickers that were already on the plane, I removed. Many people liked the pre-applied shark teeth, and while they are a realistic detail on aircraft, I thought they were kind of gaudy on the AB-115, especially when you put them against this rather subdued color scheme. 3 figures were included with the set, as well as a table and a navigation computer. Again, I'm not a big fan of sticker application. I didn't particularly like these pieces. Anything that took away space from the interior of the plane was virtually ignored. There are lights and sounds on the Shark. Now, lights and sounds are things that you either love or you hate. I think it's cool they included lights and sounds, but if they didn't, I wouldn't have cared much. In fact, it probably would have freed up more space. For firepower, there are 2 wing-mounted bombs, AC-130 style side weaponry for attacking ground targets, which can pivot up and down, and these 2 front-mounted Gatling guns. If the vehicle does have a downside, it's definitely these transparent orange guns. They're distracting on what is an otherwise fairly realistic color scheme. Something else I don't like, which isn't exclusive to the Shark, but is an issue on other Chat May aircraft, is the lack of windows. I can understand this for ground vehicles, but for aircraft, it's just not right. Yeah, I know, it's Chat May, but I would still like to see some windows. Another thing worth noting is that the propellers, while they obviously do spin, don't rotate as freely as I would like them to. Now, let's move on to carrying capacity. This was the selling point for many collectors. The cockpit can hold 2 figures. Pretty straightforward so far. There is a door on the side of the plane that allows for figures to go through, which is nice. However, removing the back of the plane reveals a massive space for cargo, and this is pretty much the main way for you to put things inside the plane. There are 4 seats to place figures and places to fix weaponry to. However, if not in use, they can be folded or even removed for extra space. At the rear of the Shark, there is a door that can be unlocked. It's a very nice feature and it adds a lot of immersion, even though you can only fit a select number of vehicles through it. Now, how much can the Shark hold? Like the U-53, the AB-115 is one of those vehicles that you kind of have to experiment with to get a true sense of its maximum carrying capacity. Even though carrying capacity is a strong point for the AB-115, especially when it comes to holding figures, you kind of have to jump through a few hoops to fit some vehicles inside. I'm pleased to note that the interior of the Shark could easily hold a vamp, but that's with the condition that you remove the side guns and the seats. However, it should be noted that the vamp is unable to fit through the cargo bay door, so if you're wanting to keep the weaponry and seats, or you're planning a stop-motion sequence, using a vamp with the AB-115 is kind of pointless. It's not all doom and gloom though. The Jeep from the U-53 can easily fit through the back of the plane and into the cargo bay, with both the guns and the seats still attached. One thing that kind of pisses me off though is that the AB-115, like the U-53, is still beaten by the Chat May Chinook. Yes, I realize it's more like a Sea Knight, but I'm calling it the Chinook. At the end of the day, it has more volume to carry things without having the annoying compromises of the AB-115, even if it is a marginal difference. The Chat May Chinook is one of their oldest vehicles. I've owned Chat May Chinooks on and off from as far back as 2006, and the fact that it's beating bigger Chat May vehicles 5 and even 11 years on is kind of annoying. If they had made the fuselages of the AB-115 and the U-53 a little bit wider and perhaps a little bit taller, it would have fixed these issues. But as things stand now, it doesn't appear the Chinook is going to be dethroned anytime soon. But don't let that little rant discourage you from getting your hands on an AB-115. Chat May has still made something good here. As mentioned before, the space in the fuselage can hold a large amount of figures, and the accommodations for the said figures and their weapons more than make up for any shortcomings it might have. One thing worth noting is that the places to hold weapons can hold Joe weaponry. Of course, it depends on the weapon. The guns I tested were not a perfect fit, but they held well enough to prevent them from moving around when the plane is banking. Like I said, Chat May made something good with the AB-115. And how do you know when you have something good? When you have imitations. Kids Connection had a discount AB-115. Everything from the button placement, the two front-mounted guns, all the way down to the locking mechanism on the back door are replicated. So, why was the AB-115 so popular? I don't have the answer, but I have an explanation. And that is that Chat May gave us something different. Something that Hasbro really hasn't tried before. At the time of the AB-115's release in 2011, Hasbro was giving us the G.I. Joe 30th Anniversary line, which, for the most part, just included repaints from the Pursuit of Cobra line, with the highlight being a Sky Striker, which was, for all intents and purposes, a downgrade from the original. Also, keep in mind that Modern Joe is mostly about appealing to older generations of G.I. Joe collectors. That's not a bad idea, but it just shows that treading new grounds isn't exactly on Hasbro's agenda. Another thing to note is the price. The cost of the AB-115 at retail was $49.99. Okay, that might seem to be out of the reach of most allowances for kids, but let me pose a question. What if Hasbro made the AB-115? I bought my Shark back in 2013, the same time the G.I. Joe Retaliation Eaglehawk was being sold. The Eaglehawk was being sold for $44.99, which is insane. I mean, really look at these two vehicles and see how different they are. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Human Mechanism, what's the big deal? Why are you throwing so much shade at Hasbro? I mean, the Eaglehawk was cheaper than the AB-115. Shouldn't you be in favor of the Eaglehawk? No. I mean, I like the Eaglehawk, if that's what you're wondering. But if getting a substantially bigger aircraft with far more carrying capacity, better functionality, and electronics to boot is the difference of only $5, then screw the Eaglehawk, I would go for the AB-115. The Eaglehawk was overpriced, even if it was slightly cheaper than the AB-115, and relied primarily on the nostalgia of Joe fans to get sales. Based on what we have seen from recent toy lines, if Hasbro made anything near the caliber of the AB-115, the price would skyrocket. And it wouldn't be because of the materials used, it would be from Hasbro's outrageous MSRP, and it would not sell. So all things considered, I think $49.99 was a fair price for the AB-115. Overall, the AB-115 proved to everyone that lesser-known companies have the capacity to make a substantial impact. The Shark is a testament to how trying something different and venturing into new territories can lead to good things. The Shark is definitely a toy that deserves to go down in G.I. Joe history as a game changer. It's not a perfect vehicle by any means, but is it a great vehicle? Yes, it is. It's well built with sturdy construction, and if nothing else, it just looks good. It is truly one of the best military toys to come out of the last decade. If you can get your hands on one for a reasonable price, go for it. With that said, the True Heroes AB-115 Shark gets a huge seal of approval. See you all later. Yo Joe.